I think. Well, listen, Mark. Listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to with everything?
How much coffee did you drink before the show?
Listen, you can't polish a sneaker, right? throw tomatoes at me. Do whatever you're gonna do.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Mark Catone after a little hiatus, and, of course, Joe Guarnieri in the booth. Hey, listen, Mark, before I tell everybody about the number, look at the new set we have, huh?
Wow, this is nice. Like a shiny, brand new car. I'm all excited.
It was worth the week off, Joe. Fantastic job. Jag Media Productions, fantastic job. So I'm joined by these guys and your calls, 855-313-PATS, 855-313-7287. And over here on StreamYard and YouTube, we have the live chat up right now. So chat in, call in. We want to hear from you. Got a lot of great topics tonight. Also, go on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Okay, subscribe. We want to hear from you. And hey, Mark, listen. There's the number up on the screen. See, Mark, look at all the bells and whistles.
Wow.
I mean, this is fantastic. Joe, you should be, you should just be, on cloud nine right now, right? So, Mark, listen, let's get right into it because, and you know what? I think we have to start. I mean, we got to start with the Celtics because, look at the crap that's going on with the Celtics right now, Mark. I mean, they're done in the playoffs, so you think it just goes away, right?
They're like an organization in crisis. I mean, like really, like it's nuts.
It is nuts. No, we're worried about who the coach is going to be. Nobody likes Stevens, and now he's the president. And
well, that's something we got to get into because I don't know how you did that. Like nobody liked him. The players didn't like him, and now you make him the president, and he's in charge of basketball operations.
So let's get right into that then. Let's talk about Stevens because so the story comes out and now you're hearing all these kinds of rumors, and I'll let you talk about the Blake Griffin one. But rumor comes out saying that there were players in that locker room that didn't like him. He didn't hold enough guys accountable. Namely Marcus Smart, that he gave Marcus Smart a lot of favorable things and a lot of play a little too much. Mark, when they say the players didn't like, there are certain players, who are we talking about really? I mean, we're talking about two guys, right?
Well, that's would be the assumption, right? We would assume it's what, Tatum and Brown?
Gotta be. I mean, it has to be.
Although they claim Kemba Walker didn't like him either, Chris, because he was really hard on Walker. Right, more so than a guy, for instance, like Smart, like you just brought up, right? And he would be all over Walker in practice. And I think Walker, as a veteran and a max guy, they gave him basically whatever level max he was. They gave him that contract to come here, and then you're riding him, and you're not riding Smart. And I don't necessarily know how much he rode guys like Tatum because of their fragile egos. Like They're a little fragile. Those guys, they're not mentally tough. So So he had to push the buttons of different guys, and I think, that was an issue.
Well, Mark, the thing about it is, when you talk about those two guys, and Kemba Walker, right? I mean, here's the thing with Kemba Walker. Mark, what do you got to pray? What do you got to pray going on? Who is that? Bring her up on the show.
They're photobombing me. What is wrong with this thing?
We finally have it all fancy and everything.
And they're going to photobomb me.
Hey, you know what? Listen, Mark, we're fine. Anyone who wants to come on the show, come right on.
But Chris, continue what you were saying, though, because it's insanity.
Well, listen, for the 20 minutes Kemba Walker played this season, I'll tell you what, I don't blame Stevens and company for getting on top of him. No. I guess I know. I guess I understand. You hurt. But geez, Mark,
But Chris, then today it comes out that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. However he was supposed to rehab, he didn't do what he was supposed to do during the COVID break last spring. Like there were things that he was supposed to be doing, and they said that he came. I was listening to Zolak and Bertrand today briefly on my phone, and they said he didn't.
Don't you love Zolak?
Oh yeah, Zolak's the best. But
I'll tell you when you're done. I'll tell you a funny Zolak
but
story.
Chris, they said he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So like, I mean, I don't have any sympathy for the guy. I mean, they're telling you to do things to get yourself back and ready to roll, and supposedly he didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Well, he you're saying he basically asked for it, is what.
Christopher, I don't see you anymore on the screen.
What happened to my camera?
There we go. You're back.
Uh-oh. Well, anyway, Mark, finish what you were saying.
So I don't understand, so he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So now Stevens is probably pissed off, and now he's going to ride him in practice, and he's going to ride the fact, well, shoot, you only play, like you said, Chris, he can only play every other game. He can't play back-to-back games, right? So that's a major issue with him. So the fact that he got traded, absolutely, based on all of the stuff coming out now, absolutely isn't a surprise that he was the first guy to get they unloaded.
Yeah, and well, you had to get out from that contract.
I was just going to say the salary cap space. They needed the space anyway, so it didn't matter. They weren't going to trade Tatum or Brown.
Joe almost had a coronary over there in the booth when the camera went off. Joe, show him what happens when you come on. Let's see it. How nice. Seamless.
You're gonna get a beating. I'm like, this guy, I gotta do something with these two. I don't know what to do anymore. Folks, if you're out there and you know anything about tech and you want to share it with two
morons,
you call in. My doctor says I can't do it anymore.
Listen, all I could tell you is it's a hell of a lot better than it was, Joe. So whatever you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. So okay. So, Mark, well, I mean, look, they had to get out from under that contract with Kemba.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. They had to get out from under that contract. They did. But I'm with you. I mean, well, getting back to Tatum and Brown, okay? Look, Brown was part of the reason that Kyrie was basically, that was the guy that Kyrie had issues with. Those two.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was those two guys. Yeah. It wasn't the other guys. It was those two.
And so now Brown's got Brown had a problem. Now Brown has a problem. I mean, we're speculating, but come on, Mark. Brown has the problem with Stevens. Okay. So again, we keep coming back to this about Tatum and Brown though. Can you make it with these two?
So here's my question, Chris. Okay. So
I mean, I'm all over the place, but correct.
No. But so you freed up money. Okay.
Right.
So you freed up money.
Is somebody coming back in again?
No. Nobody else is coming in. They're done.
Yeah, he is right there. Who's that? Bring him on. Tell him to come on. Tell him to come on the screen right now.
This is crazy today. So listen,
Mark's got his own roadies back there.
This is nuts. I know they're all waiting for Catone's comments, but that's
actually, you know what it is, and Mark shared this with us earlier. We're trying to set, as you could see, we set up this system, this new system. It's working out well so far, the new setup, but there are some things that we have to do on our end, sound wise, plugins, things. So I know he's getting some help tonight with that kind of stuff. And that's, I assume, Mark,
well,
I
had no sound, no nothing earlier. Chris and Joe were gonna kill me. I couldn't hear anything. But
right.
So Chris, the issue is, right? So those two guys, okay, so now you freed up a little cap space. Maybe you got a little flexibility to bring somebody in. But if you're not bringing in a guy like Beal or Westbrook or one of those guys, does it really matter what you freed up? I mean, can you add a couple of pieces and actually win with this team with just Brown and Tatum? I don't know.
No, we've said that all year. You can't. You're not going to be able to do that. But look, getting back to Stevens though. So I believe it was those two guys that basically ran him out. I'm not sure that begs the question: are they pissed off that he's now the president?
Well, Chris, I told you a few weeks ago. Remember, I said to you, they'll never get rid of him because they don't want to pay out his contract. And I think this was the compromise. The owners were never going to pay him whatever he's making, like $8 million a year. They weren't going to pay him $8 million a year to disappear. That's why I think he's sitting in Ainge's seat, like you said, Chris, until somebody offers him the same amount of money to go coach. Because I don't think he wants to be the president. You're right, Chris. He'll be back on the sideline for somebody in a year or maybe two, and then the Celtics will be rid of him.
I tell you what. The other night, when when I thought Milwaukee was going to lose that game, and we'll talk about that in a second, but when I thought Milwaukee was going to lose that game, first of all, I think they should fire him anyway. I think that coach stinks. I think that coach absolutely stinks.
Oh, the guy from Brooklyn?
For the Bucks. No, for the
For
Bucks.
the Bucks. Oh yeah, he stinks.
I think he stinks. And so what I said immediately is Stevens is going to be coaching in Milwaukee next year. Watch. And that may still happen, in my opinion.
Well,
if they can that guy, if they can, because they'll probably win the Eastern Finals.
Well, put it this way: if we lose to Atlanta in the Eastern Finals, the guy could go.
Absolutely.
If they lose to Atlanta in the finals, you might see him get fired.
They have no business losing that series, but you know what? Atlanta's hot, man. That kid is hot over there.
No, they're hot. I just don't know how they'll stop Giannis, but they have no answer for him. But they're hot.
My point, though, is I think that's a perfect place for him. I think that's a kind of place where his temperament, his mentality, he would thrive. And so but again, I told you this. I don't think Stevens is going to be there for the beginning of that season in that position. I just don't. Unless he's sitting there saying, this is a new challenge. I want to do this. I want to be a part of this sort of, part of basketball in this capacity.
So let me ask you this. So it comes out also this weekend that Blake Griffin, when he was released, one of his options was possibly the Celtics. And he was told by somebody in the locker room, you don't want to come here. It's a dysfunctional place. You don't want to come here. So if that was a reflection towards Stevens, what makes you think as the president you're in charge of basketball operations now that you're going to get anybody to come here? What players are going to want to come here now that you're the chief executive and you're trying to put together a team you're obviously getting input from whoever this coach ends up being, but do you honestly think that players are going to want to come here knowing that Stevens is in charge?
I don't think it goes
unless you really get a player's coach that like one of these guys like Billups or somebody, maybe he could recruit NBA players to come play for him. Maybe, I don't know.
I think honestly, Mark, it doesn't go past the coach for these guys. I feel like once they get past the coach, I don't think they look higher up.
Okay.
Other than when it's contract time.
Oh, that's fair.
And we don't know, Mark. I have my speculation as to who this was. It wasn't going to be Tatum. It wasn't going to be Brown, Smart, because these guys are locked in. Okay, certainly wasn't going to be Smart. I mean, geez, the way Stevens put him on the court. I mean, they gave him so much they gave him so much love for reasons I'll never understand. I still will never understand.
No, right. It definitely wasn't Smart.
So I think it was Tristan Thompson. That's who I believe. Yeah. He's got a connection to Griffin. They're buddies, from my understanding. I think it was him because he's a newcomer. Right. He didn't get as much playing time as he wanted. All that crap. So, but was he referring to Stevens or was he referring to Ainge?
I think he could have been.
That kind of kills my argument I just made.
No, it does, but no. I think he was referring to Stevens because I think there was some strife in that locker room. Obviously, Milwaukee didn't like him. We don't know how much Tatum and Brown liked him. We're thinking they really went crazy about him. So I'm assuming I'm agreeing with you, Chris. There probably was a guy like Thompson, but I think that's why he was saying it's a dysfunctional locker room. Those guys didn't want to play for him, Chris. That was obvious.
No. And you know what? Listen, look, it's either one or the other. If my argument is going to be they don't look past the coach, then it was a Stevens issue. And if he moves upstairs, then what do they care? If it was an Ainge issue, then my argument is completely just shattered at that point.
Yeah, I don't think it was an Ainge issue, Chris. I think you're right. I think it was a coach's issue.
Right, exactly. So again, if that's the case now, so what does that do? I mean, so now, Stevens goes up there and again, I think we both agree that Tatum and Brown were the guys that, were basically saying, look, he's not holding anybody accountable. And that's Stevens. Mark, how many times did we say that over the last friggin' 6 months that this is on Stevens because he won't be a tough guy? What did we talked about this like 3 months ago when I said, I don't, you need a guy that's going to kick these guys' ass, get them on the sideline and say, hey, cut the crap, stop worrying about your brand and your commercials and all your bullshit and get out on the court and play basketball so that you can sign all your nonsense that you like. You know, you don't care about championships, fine, but you better care about how you play, or else you're never going to get these brands and these people.
So,
to support.
Chris, do you think that'll fly though with a guy like Tatum? That type of an attitude by the coach?
Yeah, I mean, if he's the guy, if he's one of the guys that's saying he didn't hold players accountable, but be careful what you wish for.
All right. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if that came from him, but it came from somebody.
Well,
But
who else? Who else has any?
His relationship with? Yeah.
Who has any cachet in that team other than those two guys? That's going to really, other than Walker, who knew he was on his way out anyway. I mean,
yeah,
right?
No, yeah, nobody. I don't think. Yeah, nobody.
So
I don't think. You know?
So okay, so when you look at the, well, you talked about Kemba, okay? We talked about Kemba a little bit and the trade. Mark, what do you tell? First of all, break down the trade.
So first of all, it was about money, like you said, Chris. So you needed to make that trade for the salary cap because Walker's owed like $73 million over the next 2 years, and Horford's contract only guarantees him 41. That's all he's guaranteed. The money is more over the next 2 years. I think it's like 54 million, but he's only guaranteed 41 million of that. So you're saving yourself over $30 million by making that deal. So they had to make the deal to free up the 30 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it was worth it. And Horford, I think, Chris, is a better complementary player at this stage of his career. He'll probably come off the bench, right? But he's a better guy off the bench to fit with Tatum and Brown, in my opinion, than Tristan Thompson was. Horford will give you a little bit more, right? Horford plays better defense if he's healthy, and Horford will give you a little bit more on offense. He can go out there and make a three, hit the jump shot. He'll stretch you a little bit. He's way past his prime, but that's not why they made the deal. They made the deal to free up the money, and then they get this kid thrown in, Brown, thrown in. This other
I like him.
Brown. You know, he's got upside. He's got potential. He's a young kid. I mean, he could potentially be a cog off the bench. And I don't know. What do you think? You gave up.
I mean, I know it's G League. I understand.
You gave up a first round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up the term. So you gave up the first
16th pick. Maybe it's going to be 17th pick. Yeah.
Yeah, for Horford and Brown, and then a second round pick in 23.
And to free up a little over $30 million.
Mark, you know how I feel about the picks in basketball after you get past 5.
Yeah, so it was about the 30 million, Chris, and then
absolutely.
Now I don't think this is where I don't think Stevens will pull the trigger. You could free up more cap space if you get rid of Marcus Smart, but that's not going to happen. So allegedly, Chris, their intent is you got 2 years left of some sort of money guaranteed to Horford, right?
Right.
And then their goal is the summer of 2023, not next offseason, the following offseason, if they can build the team around Brown and Tatum and get to the verge, they can bring in a third player, another max guy to play with them. That third guy, that big 3 guy, right? Now, whether or not you can keep those guys happy that long, because if you're not going to a championship, I don't know. But they said that's the summer that they can bring in that third big 3, because they'll have the money to do it. But I don't know.
That's just what I was going to say. I was going to say, do you think Tatum will be? Do you think then Tatum's going to last? Well, because how much longer does he have?
Well, he just signed that max deal, so I think he's got like 4 years here. And Brown's got maybe 3 or 4 years here. But do they wait that long? If they're not winning, you're going to have another offseason of discontent, and then you're going to have to play another season. So you basically got to go 2 years before you can bring in. You're going to wait for them to bring in the third guy, and who the hell knows even who's available at that point, right? So I don't know.
Tatum starts bitching and complaining that he wants to be traded. He wants out of here.
Exactly.
Let me go with deal.
Or do you try to make that move now? But who you're gonna have to give up somebody to do it. You're gonna give it. You don't have any collateral except Jaylen Brown. I mean, okay, so you trade Jaylen Brown, say for Beal. Say you can pull that deal off. All right, so now you got Beal and Tatum. You still probably need a third guy, no? Or you think that's enough? If you put complementary guys around them.
Well, the Suns are showing us that you can do it.
Yeah. So it's possible, Chris. So I think you got to try to do that. I think you got to try to. I don't think they'll do it.
Utah showing us that you can.
I don't think they'll do it, but maybe you got to trade Jaylen Brown and bring in Bradley Beal.
Hey, look, the number 1 and 2 seeds. Now you could talk about injuries. I get it, but that's part of the game too. You had to know that with Kyrie and all these guys. You know, you have the number 1 and 2 seeds out. They get bounced. So the whole thought of, well, we put a super team together and now we're going to win this whole thing, because you and I both said it. Nobody's beating Brooklyn. But you also said if they're healthy. If they're healthy, nobody's beating Brooklyn. Nobody's beating Brooklyn. And maybe if they were healthy, that would be the case. But health is a consideration in all of this.
Especially with those two guys, Chris. They're going to be both going to be like 32 next year, 31, 30. Like, I think Kyrie and Durant are going to be like 31, and Harden's going to be like 32. So they're not getting, that team's not getting any younger either.
If anyone out there thinks that Kyrie, Durant, and Harden are going to stay healthy all season, you know what? Give me whatever you're taking, give it to me. You know what I mean? Because that's never going to happen. And the same problem is going to happen, because, Mark, it wasn't just the injuries that was the issue. You know, you watched them play together. Yeah, I mean, when they wanted to turn it on, they turned it on. But it's so individual. I mean, it's so individual. It's like one guy's going to go off, one guy's going to get his. It's not playing within the framework. The only time I really saw that happen was when their role guys were moving the ball a lot, when one of them was out on the court. Then you'd see stuff like that. But, Mark, listen, I agree with you. The Kemba deal had to happen. It was a money thing, and I agree with you with Horford. This is a guy that can shoot the ball too. He's a big man that can shoot. And to me, I hate, you say this, he's an older guy, but to me, it's an upgrade from Thompson. I don't know.
Now, is Thompson under contract next year, or are they out from him? I don't know.
I don't
know. If he is, I don't know how that's going to play out. You put him back in that locker room.
I mean, I don't know that they brought him in for 1 year.
No, it's probably, I think it was for 2, but I wonder if they try to get rid of him. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But again, I don't think those two guys are going to want to hang around, to see what happens. But, again, with the not wanting to come to Boston for all the social issues and things like that, look, I don't think that's going to play. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. And I guess it really depends on, you're right, who the coach is going to be. And so, Mark, out of these 3 guys that they've nailed it down to, I think we believe they have, Adoku, or is that how you say his name?
Yep.
Adoka, Billups, and Ham. So,
well, now Billups was interviewing, I think, again in Portland. So he's a strong candidate in Portland.
Yeah, I mean, and so but Billups is a newer coach. I mean, he's a Clippers assistant, and then you got Ham, Bucks assistant, was a Lakers assistant at one point. I'll tell you, Adoku, I like him the best. I mean, Nets assistant, but why I like him is he came up on the Pop.
Okay, so
came up on the San Antonio under him.
Now Pop, well, I guess he's lasted all these years with these players. I mean, he's getting a little ornery now and grumpy, and I think he's starting to rub players the wrong way. But in his
he was always ornery and grumpy. He just looks old now.
No, he was, but like he pissed Kawhi off. Kawhi wanted out of there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so he doesn't relate to the newer superstar.
The newer superstar, I think, is a little different, right?
The Pop is the last guy that's going to buy into the brand versus the basketball.
No, he's one of the older guys left.
He's not that guy. But Mark, Celtics fans out there, and tell me what you think of this, because I guess I'm in that group, because there's a lot of people saying, look, what are you going to do? Celtics fans are really going to get that hyped up about the fact that the Nets lost? You're damn right I am. You're damn right I'm going to get hyped up about it. For all the nonsense you heard all year about these 3 guys and putting it all together, and then boom, bounced out in the second round.
He rubs his foot on the logo. What do you do? Of course we're happy they got bounced.
Absolutely. You have to be. Let us know out there. Are you happy? I'm happy. Look, like I said, you can't be happier, like, as a Celtics fan. Now, you're pissed off that you had such a poor showing in the playoffs and all that, and I get that's always going to be there. But the fact that they're not going, look, they got 3 years, right? Next year's year 2, and then year 3.
Kyrie, other than that 1 year with Cleveland when they won it, has never really been healthy through a playoff run or a stretch run, 100% healthy. Right. If you go back and track him through his career. So his track record will tell you he may not be there at the end for you. Now Harden and Durant are much more durable. Granted, Durant had the Achilles at the end with Golden State. Understandably, he missed over a year. But for the most part, Harden and Durant can usually stay healthy. But Kyrie historically has not given you a whole season.
Or he walks out or does something.
Yeah, he does crazy stuff during the course of the season. And even the year they won it with Cleveland, Chris, Cleveland only won that championship because they suspended Draymond Green for game 6, and it got it to a 7. The game, it wouldn't have went 7 because it was a stupid call that they gave him a tech on. Should have never been suspended. And the center who was killing Cleveland at the time for Golden State got hurt in game 5. Cleveland wouldn't have won that series. They can say whatever they want. Oh, LeBron, Kyrie. They would not have won that series if that did not happen. They would have lost that series in 6.
We have, and we're going to get the break soon. Hey, Joe, flash that, put that scroll bar on so we can tell them what that's about. But we have Cooper Stephanie 31 chatting in right now talking about Kyrie is like glass. So,
couldn't be more right.
You couldn't be more. Here it is. Kyrie is like glass. We appreciate the chat.
Oh, I love this. It flashes on the screen, Joe.
You like that, Mark, huh?
Oh, I love it.
So, and listen, put the scroll on so we can show the people how they can get right on the show, okay? And then we're going to get the break. But yeah, Mark, you're right. And Cooper Stephanie 31 out there, you are absolutely right. He is like glass. I mean, you know, and mentally, he's like glass. And listen, I have no, you know, mental health issues are a real thing. That's a real thing. And if he needs help for that, fine, he should get help. But that's what's happening.
Mental health? He don't have mental health issues. He's just a jerk. A jerk. He is a jerk. That's all it is.
He is a jerk. He is a jerk. So look at the bottom. Check out the bottom of the screen right now. You're going to see the link, the YouTube .b/H07cc, and then the rest of it. Get it on paper, log in. We'll put you right on the show. We can talk to you. Let us know what you think. So when we come back, Mark, we've got to talk Bruins. Have to talk a little bit about that with that abrupt ending to the Islander series. And we want to get into a little baseball, that and more right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone. Yeah, Mark, I really love this stuff. We can't stop talking about it enough tonight. Joe, fantastic. Want to thank the people at Special Sauce Podcast. Log in, specialsaucepodcast.com, and the people over at Corso Law Group and CorsoLawGroup.com who's sponsoring this next segment, Mark. So, Mark, Bruins. I mean, let's get right into it. Look, what went wrong, Mark?
What went wrong was what we talked about all season. I mean, other than that first line, who produced? We said all season, if they were going to make a run, teams that make runs, Chris, have second lines, third lines, sometimes even a fourth line, but definitely your 2 and 3 lines have to be producing to make a playoff run. And you got to have a goaltender sometimes that can stand on his head. And Rask certainly, and not that he played bad, but he didn't do that. And I know that coming out late, it was injured, and we're going to get into Rask in a minute. But what we said their faults were all season, Chris, showed up in the playoffs.
So is the window closing for them, or is it closed?
I don't know if it's closed. They might have one more year, Chris, but it's closing pretty quickly. If it's open, it's barely open, and you're gonna have to force it back. It's like this open if it's open because they're getting older, right? That A line. I mean, how many more years you gonna have Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci and those guys,
Yeah, and
I mean,
I
Pasternak
think
is still young enough, but
they
Hall
do have
wants
some
to
young
stay.
guys too,
Hall
yeah.
is young. Hall wants to stay. I mean, but I definitely think that window is closing quickly, very quickly.
I like to see, because I agree. There is a mixture of some young talent on this team, though. Smith.
Yeah, but they're
you got
going to make the
couple of
jump. They're going to
defensemen.
make that jump, Chris, to the next level.
They do. The guy that I'm most concerned about is Krejci. I mean, you could see the miles on him, in the playoffs. But I think with Hall there, he kind of did get rejuvenated, but they got to put somebody else in there. They got to get somebody else side of him. The two guys that just they should never see the ice again are Richie and DeBrusk. Get the hell out. Get those guys. I can't even believe Cassidy, and I put a ton on him. A ton, Mark, especially with the goalie. But and we'll get to that 1 second. But to have Richie, I said this 2 weeks ago, to have Richie on that ice, just kind of lumbering around like a jerk and, getting in the corner, getting beat down in the corner, not moving anybody out of the way and not setting up any type of good screen like he should be doing. I mean, what's the point?
Cassidy became Claude Julien because that was always the rap against Julien. He had his lines and he didn't move them and he didn't flex them. And he just kept running those guys on the ice, whether they were producing or not. And that was always the knock against Julien. And Cassidy kind of turned it to Julien.
He did. I mean, and you know what? You have to have the eggs. Okay. You got to have the eggs to make these kinds of changes. You got to do it. Look at Vegas right now. Okay. Look at what Vegas did. They changed it. They pulled their goalie. They put Fleury out there. That took a lot of eggs to do that.
They needed to try to light a fire.
And it worked. Worked. So then that brings us to Rask now. Okay. So he's hurt. We agreed. We talked about that 2 weeks. He's hurt. We thought he was hurt going into
having surgery.
Game,
So he's hurt. He's legitimately hurt. If he's having that surgery, he's legitimately hurt.
He was hurt. So why on earth then? And welcome in, Paula. We appreciate the chat. Why on earth don't you have Swayman in there? Put the young kid in there. See if he can light you up. Have a spark. What the frig?
If you don't have any faith in Swayman, then you got a problem going forward because Rask, he's not on the contract next year, right? So what are you going to do with him? You're going to bring him back again?
And he's painted them in a corner, hasn't he? Because he came out and said, I won't play anywhere else but Boston. That put the ball right into Boston's court.
Chris.
Sweeney and Cam.
They need to get rid of Sweeney.
Well, they didn't want to hear that. That's the last thing they want to hear. You would rather hear something out of Rask like, like downing the organization, right?
Listen, you cannot re-sign Rask, Chris, because you need that money to bring in some of the extra pieces you were talking about, Chris. You don't want DeBrusk and you don't want Richie on the ice.
And you better upgrade your defense.
Then you're going to have to bring in a couple of guys, even a couple of veterans. You're going to have to spend the money you were going to spend on Rask and spread that out over 2 or 3 guys that maybe you can bring in. Maybe a couple of veterans come in at a little cheaper price to try to solidify those places, Chris. And then you're going to have the 2 young goalies and you're going to give them both a shot and see what they can do. But Swayman, I mean, he seemed to play well all year. But then when it was money time, Cassidy didn't have the faith to throw him on the ice. So what does that tell you? Does Cassidy think the kid really can do it? Because that was like no, I don't have faith in you. I'm going to go with the injured guy over you. So I mean, he may not think Swayman is a number 1 goalie.
Listen, if we're seeing the things out of Rask, remember we talked about he was playing low. He was playing flat. Was just have
Well,
trouble
and
getting
we're gonna
over.
say that was the
I'm
injury,
sorry.
right?
He was playing tall, and he couldn't. He was giving up those corners. He was hurt.
Yeah,
And
he was
so
hurt.
I think it's more of an indictment on Cassidy. I think it's a complete indictment on him. You got to listen, Cassidy. I've always been in his corner. He always appeared to me to be the kind of coach that has a set. You know what I mean? That he'll try things. He'll switch things up. But damn it, Mark, he didn't switch. He didn't mix up the lines. And look, they better go get it. If we're talking about what they need to do in the offseason, they better go get a money defenseman, because just like the Celtics need a point guard badly, this team needs a defenseman, a big-time defenseman. Why? Because look what happened with Carlo and Miller went out. They were done.
They were done. They were totally done.
They were done on the power kill. They
Totally
were done in their own end on 5-on-5. They couldn't move guys out of Rask's way. They couldn't do it.
Chris, so they definitely need defense, right? But again, I'm gonna go back to the goalie situation. So you put a lot on Cassidy. I agree with you. So if you know Rask is hurt, even if you don't think this kid Swayman is ready to be a number one goalie, and you don't have the faith that he can do it.
Yeah.
Listen, if the guy's hurt, you got to roll the dice and throw Swayman in there. And if the kid happens to win you a game and catches fire, hey, listen, maybe that's the jolt that this team needs. Maybe they rally around the young goalie and say, okay, we got to protect this kid. We got to do what we got to do for this kid. You know what I mean? And maybe the team would have rose to a different level. And you know what? If you put him out there and he gave up 6 goals, okay, he gave up 6 goals. Your starting goalie's injured. The fact that he didn't use him, Chris, I'm a little nervous. Does he think this kid's not really a starting goalie? He's just a backup goalie, and I don't want to put him in there. Then what the hell are you going to do next year?
Yeah, listen, I don't buy that. Because and he may think that, but I think he's dead wrong if he thinks that. This kid is highly touted. This kid,
I thought he was. I thought he played well, Chris, when he put him in.
This kid's ready. He's ready. He's ready. Okay. And if they did it, look, Mark, when it was 2-1 in the series, okay, if they had done it then, okay, if they had done it for game 4, then if he had a bad game, okay,
back to Rask.
You could have went back. You could have just said Rask needed it. He needed a game. He needed a game off. He's hurting. He's got issues. We needed to make a change for now.
That would have been a smart move, because maybe the kid catches you fire and you leave him in. If not, it still gives Rask a rest if he is injured. So it still gives him a rest. You know what? Rest for a game. We're gonna have to spot you here. So Cassidy, Chris, I don't think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think Cassidy caught enough flack for this loss, this playoff loss. I think, I don't know if Cassidy has been scrutinized enough over the decisions he made.
I don't either. I mean, I have. I've been on his ass.
You've been on his ass, but I don't know if the media in general, I think it was almost like Cassidy got a pass.
Well, you're talking about those stooges over there. Mark, listen, if anybody really wants to, if you people out there really want to understand New England sports and what goes on, you got to listen to us. You have to listen to what we're saying, especially every single one of these things. We're talking, we talked about these things. We mentioned them. We brought this out. We saw this coming. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how Cassidy was becoming more like Claude, and
it showed those last couple of games, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it really, really did, so Mark, look, like we said, I mean, moving forward now, and, again, it's some baseball talk, but yeah, Mark, moving forward, they got some things, just like the Celtics have some things that have to happen. You can't be a second round team. You just can't be a second round team. And you know what?
And I think that's all they are, Chris, unless they make some moves.
Yep.
I don't know if the Bruins were anything more than a second round team.
They went out in this thing exactly when you said they would go out in this thing.
Yep.
Okay. You said they get through a series, and then that was going to be it. Mark Catone, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he's called 6-8 months ago. Okay. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah. So yeah, that's the situation with them. And you know what? I mean, the Islanders are giving, Tampa won 8-0 last night.
No, I know, but they're still giving Tampa fits.
Listen, I thought whoever won the Colorado series with Vegas was going to win the whole thing. But I tell you something right now, and you said it about Tampa. that team just may not. They may not be a team that can be beat by anybody right now.
No.
You know, I mean, maybe a game or two here and there.
That was my pick before. Remember back in like March, early April. Yep. I said I think when it's all said and done, Tampa will make it through, but we'll see.
You did, and I liked Vegas.
You did like Vegas. You know what? It's going to be Vegas, Tampa, Chris. Going to be. I
don't know, and that's the last thing. That's the last thing I want to say. Oh, Mark, how much does it piss you off?
Montreal.
I mean, this team, I can't stand the Canadians. You know what? The team, I mean, the Montreal Canadiens. I can't take that. I can't stomach that. This is going to be this little weasel-ass team like the Giants that's eking their way through the playoffs. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. They get into the final. They get into the Stanley Cup final, and some crap goes wrong, okay, with the other team, and boom, they got a championship. I mean, Mark, if they're hoisting that trophy, if they're hoisting that cup at the end of the season, the disgust level that I'll have, the only saving grace is that football will be starting soon. That's it. You know, that's it. So
there was nothing like the days when the big bad Bruins would play them with Kenny Dryden and LaFleur and all those guys.
Mark, they seem to get the best of us a lot more than the other way around.
No,
they
did. They always did. They always have.
But those series, those games with those were fantastic. And Joe, I don't know if you got baseball queued up, but it's time. So, Mark, listen, it is baseball season right now. Obviously, we're in the playoffs with the other two, but we got quite a bit to talk about with baseball, Mark, right?
Yeah, we do. A lot to talk about. So,
well,
Chris,
go ahead, man.
Chris, the new thing. So you remember back, and of course, listen, everything always reverts back to what? We always revert back to football. And I'm going to make a football analogy. So now, did you see that stuff that these pitchers are using? That spider tack?
Hey, what's Twitch, Mark?
Twitch.
Joe, what's Twitch?
I don't know. Well, he's got all the stuff up here. I don't know what that is. Twitch TV. I don't know. Twitch.
You guys got to get on it. Twitch is like another YouTube live for gamers, but we're on there too.
All right.
Live on Twitch, twitch.tv at Corso.
I've seen my son listening to that Twitch thing. Looking at all that. So yeah, okay, get on Twitch. Log on twitch.tv/Corso&Catone. Get on there so you can listen to us on Twitch and you can see how animated Mark gets about. You can see this beautiful set. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna get off that situation, Mark. But
just getting back to the baseball.
Yeah. Right? Sorry, go ahead.
So
Mark.
remember? Have you seen the spider tack that these baseball pitchers are using?
It must have been something spectacular because they're terrible.
No, I wish I could pull it up on the screen. It's like this little jar, right? It's in like a jar. This circle, this little jar. It's maybe a little bit bigger than a jar of shoe polish, right?
Yeah.
But inside of it, Chris, looks like the old-fashioned stickum that they used to. Jack Tatum used to put all over his body. Remember Jack Tatum? Remember Freddie Blitnikoff and Jack Tatum? Remember?
He had it all over his body.
Blitnikoff had it all over his body. Remember? That's what it looks like. It looks like the old stickum, but they call it spider tack. And these guys, Chris, are putting it on their friggin' hands. I don't know what they're doing, and they rub it in, and the spin rates on these balls are ridiculous. But the funny thing is, Chris, so the pitchers are using it. Everybody knows they're using it. And now all of a sudden, I think the league cracks down on it because it's becoming boring baseball. You said, they're going to do something to liven up this sport. Well, all the sport has become, Chris, is home run, fly out, strikeout. That's all the league's become. It's becoming boring. It's actually becoming boring. There's nothing else to the sport because of these launch angles and because of this spider tack, Chris. Nobody can hit the ball because of the spin rates.
They're hitting it now.
Well, they're hitting it now. Hey, Chris, how about the clown from Tampa Bay, Glasnow, who was one of their best pitchers? He blames Major League Baseball for getting injured. You were cheating. You clown. You were cheating. You were using Stickum. You're cheating. And now you're blaming them for getting injured because he had to learn how to pitch without the Stickum. And he was using suntan lotion. He said, and now they banned it. Now they're cracking down on it. And that's why he got hurt. Are you kidding me?
What he's saying is this. Hey, look, if you want to change, he's saying, if you want to change the rules, do it in the offseason. Don't do it he's basically saying, don't do it in the middle of the season where where our bodies, our arms we're accustomed to whatever we're using. And now all of a sudden we got to take it off. And then now it's creating a whole are they that soft? Have they really become, what do you think? What do you think some of the old time, what do you think Nolan Ryan would have said to this kid?
Those guys have got to be disgusting.
That guy's pitching 18 innings over there. You know what I mean? I mean, what do you think these guys would say in the past? They'd say, God, you know what? Suck it up, pitch 9 full, But
these guys, it's disgusting. And then, you know what? Listen. So if if you're going to allow Spider Tack and all this other nonsense, you know what? I say screw it. Allow it. Let them use it. Let the goddamn players go back to juicing. Let them take the goddamn steroids. You use the Spider Tack. Let's see what works better. Who cares? It'll add more excitement to the goddamn league. Let them go juice again. Who cares?
Hey, listen, all I can tell you is this. And I've said this for years and years and years. And if you people got a problem with this, what I'm about to say, then call in, chat in. I want to hear from you. I have no problem with them using any of the technology that exists today, so long as it doesn't harm them for the future and doesn't harm their life. They can't die from it. Okay, I don't have any problem with them using any of it. Okay, I just don't, because it's technology. It's as we progress. So there are all kinds of things that come out. I saw a commercial for HDH. They saw a commercial on TV, get this HGH. It's good for you. It does all this for you. It does that for you. And believe me, that was the one commercial that I saw for a drug that didn't have 50,000 disclaimers, warnings at the end of the commercial. And so my whole point is, if the technology allows for it, use it. They're not my moral compass. You say, well, what kind of message does that send to the young kids that are playing baseball? Hey, look, I'll parent my own kid. I'll coach the kids that are younger. I don't need Glasgow or any of these guys to raise my kids or my players. No. Let somebody else. So Mark, I'm with you. I have no problem with them doing that stuff. But Mark, I'll tell you what, taking it away. Well, you know what the average ERA for the Red Sox is right now?
Well, okay. Well, I was just going to get into the Red Sox. That's a good segue into the Red Sox.
They got an ERA. Well, wait, before that though, I want to ask your opinion though. They have an ERA of 6, six on average. So if the answer this, if the batters,
Jesus, their manager's the biggest cheater in baseball. Of course, they must have had Spider Tack all over their bodies.
Right. If the hitters can use pine tar. Okay. Why can't they use it on the ball?
Because the pine tar doesn't give you like extra bat speed, or it helps with your grip. But these analytic geeks, Chris, are saying that the spin rates of these baseballs were like going up like, I don't know, 50 to 75 rotations more. I don't know, whatever, 100 rotations more, whatever it is. So it was making balls dive down. Where there was, it's just not humanly possible to do that naturally. And these bums from the Red Sox, remember, Chris, remember we talked about back in March, we said, listen, the Red Sox aren't going anywhere. Their pitching staff stinks. Well, shoot, their pitching staff didn't stink because they're all using Spider Tack. And not just the Red Sox, don't get me wrong, everybody around the league is. But
New York.
But the more inferior your talent is, the more you're dependent on that junk. So now if you're going to take it away midstream, which I don't think is fair, you're right, Chris. They should have said, listen, we're going to allow you to finish the season with this, but at the end of the year, no more Spider Tack, so you got the offseason to figure out a pitch without it. But the inferior players, like the Red Sox have, they're really feeling the effects of this, Chris, because they a lot other than what the heck's his name? The guy who used to pitch for the Yankees, he's with them now. What the hell's his name? The starting pitcher. He pitched for the Yankees. He had the 2 Tommy John surgeries.
Well,
oh my God, I'm losing my. I can't even think of his name now. other than him, for the Red Sox, they stink. But they're winning games still. They're scoring a lot of runs. But eventually, without the spite attack, you're going to see the Red Sox fade because their pitching is that bad, Chris.
Well, what do you make of them saying? See, and this the flag heard this on the flagship, and you know I got a lot of respect for Michael over there. But here's the thing: he wants to say, well, the Red Sox need to be more careful than anyone else, and the Astros and
they do.
Wherever the hell.
I think he's right with that comment.
Yeah, see, I don't think so, Mark, because you know that's a reflection on the player, right? I mean, you're not going to suspend.
No. But I think he's saying once they say they're cracking down, if the Red Sox get caught, they're instantaneously going to blame Cora. He's the manager, right?
Yeah, but it
is a reflection on the player. But if Major League Baseball decides to crack down, yes, they're going to suspend the player, but eventually they're going to point the finger at Cora because of his history.
Well, that's like saying Torrey and La Russa, okay, and Tony La Russa should have been disciplined for what the hell was going on with the steroids. That doesn't fall on them. I mean, that didn't fall on those guys, on La Russa. They knew all about it.
No, it did, but that wasn't happening in game, Chris. They weren't in the locker room shooting up before a game. These guys are putting this shit on, like in the locker rooms, it's obvious that that's what they're doing. Like the steroids, I get what you're saying theoretically, but that wasn't happening in front of them. They weren't taking shots in their butts in front of the manager.
No, but I mean, look, yeah, I get what you're saying, but to me, to me, that's a good analogy. And then like the Patriots with the balls and everything. I mean, you're not going to suspend Belichick for anything you're doing with the footballs unless he's got, unless they can link it. Whatever. All right. So, Mark.
But anyways, Chris, so getting back to that, though, so the Red Sox, and the guy's name I did remember is Eovaldi, Nathan Eovaldi.
Oh, yeah.
So he's legitimate. He can throw. I don't think he needs to spite attack. I mean, he throws the ball 101 miles an hour. So the Red Sox are still hanging in. They're in first place. But you're right. Their ERA is going way up.
Game yesterday,
their ERA is going way up. Now they're winning game. Now they're having to win 9-8 instead of winning games 9-2.
Right.
But I still think the Red Sox are going to be there at the end.
Well, because their hitting is because the pitch. See, because what you said, the pitching is now garbage all across the league.
It is.
The hitting comes to the top, rises to the top, right?
It does. Yep. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. The Yankees cannot put together a streak of more than a few games because they're a flawed team. I mean, they continue to show the same flaws we've been talking about, Chris, since April. It's now the end of June.
Up and down the line, a power hitter after power hitter,
and everybody,
no small ball,
and Boone keeps saying, "Oh, we're working out of it. We're gonna get on a streak." Listen, it's almost July. When maybe in the dog days of summer they put it together. I don't know. I hope they do. Obviously as a Yankee fan, but let me bring up something else. Because finally on Saturday, Boone decides to show he's got something down there. He goes out and argues balls and strikes. He starts screaming and swearing. He defends his pitcher, and he gets tossed. And did you see, as they show him coming off the field, there's a guy with a Brooklyn shirt on and a Yankee hat on. He's like 2 rows behind the dugout. And if you read his lips, Chris, because the game was on the MLB network, he says, "You finally showed some balls."
Yeah.
And you can read his lips. And that's what he said. Yeah. I said, Chris must be happy.
Boone must have been listening to Corso&Catone, okay, a couple of weeks ago, whenever I said it, because, you know what, that pissed. Finally. I mean, come on. That needed to happen 2 weeks ago to defend all his players. And he had the perfect opportunity to walk up that line, get right in that friggin' umpire's face and start arguing, get your ass thrown out of that game in the 10th inning. Do it. So, Mark, I'm with you. Finally, Finally.
I said you must have been ecstatic. He got tossed.
I was.
Finally got tossed.
I was ecstatic. So we're going to get the break.
Look at that, Chris. I love it.
Boone finally showed some balls, Joe. He did. He finally did show. I'm so sick and tired of this crap. And Mark, you're right. Boston will be around, and we're going to get the break next, Joe. Boston will be around because they do the little things like you've been saying that all season. They do the little things. And now, with the pitching being what it is, okay, or what it will be across the league, the little things are going to be what counts, right?
And Cora has balls, Chris. He does.
Oh, yeah.
The manager's got balls.
He had guys banging on drums and garbage cans. Of course he's got balls. He's got big cojones, Mark, to be doing those kind of things over there, right? So, listen, we're going to talk OTAs, mini camps, Cam, and Mac when we come back. More after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, and this Patriot segment is going to be sponsored by Studio 42 Designs. Log on to studio42designs.com, and the 42 is the actual number, so type in the 4 and type in the 2, studio42designs.com. And Mark, listen, so
Chris,
we're finished up with OTAs.
Isn't it,
Oh,
I believe it's time.
take it away, Mark.
It's race time.
It's that time again for It's that time again for Catone's comments, and that is being brought to you by Mountain View Home Watch and Security. Mark, what do we have tonight?
Listen, so during COVID, right? So a lot of people, I don't know about you, people were you ordering more, like calling up restaurants and ordering more takeout because restaurants were closed? I don't know how it was in Arizona, but in Rhode Island, the restaurants weren't open. You could get takeout, you could do whatever. I don't know how it was out there, right?
I didn't trust anybody to put their stuff in the car and bring it. Please, you're having key votes forever. Go ahead.
I get that. But so that was a trend. But so now things are back to normal. So last weekend, my wife decides she's going to order. My daughter's got a craving for Chinese food, so she calls up for Chinese food, right? So I'm going to tell you what drives me out of my mind. You call these places, and they never can get the order right. Ever in a million years that they get these orders right. So she calls for the Chinese food, and I don't know, they ordered all these few different things, right? And I said to my wife, make sure you read the order. Get confirmation that this is what you ordered. Okay. Then she calls, listen, blah, blah. She says, yep, read it back to me. Lady reads it back to her. I said, tell her to do it again. Tell her to do it again. Nope, she don't want to tell her to do it again. Okay, they go pick the food up. They come home. They order wonton soup. What do they got? They got egg drop soup. They wanted, what do they want? They wanted those egg rolls. What do they got? They got spring rolls. They don't got what they asked for. So I said, but I told you to tell her to read it back again. She said, well, Mark, it was a simple order. I said, a simple order. You call these places. It's a basic, simple task. Take the order. Give the customer the food that they ordered. It ain't difficult. It's not rocket science. That aggravates me, Chris. It really, really aggravates. Can you tell it aggravates me?
No. You should tell us how you really feel, though, about it.
What are they gonna, I don't understand who they're going to answer in the phones.
Joe, So that was okay. That was well, Mark. I'll tell you this. I agree with you because if I may, I agree with you, and I don't want to interrupt the Catone's comments, but except for me, it only happens with my food.
No,
it only happens with my food.
Of course.
I listen. I could bring my son down right now, who could attest to this. Every single time we order takeout, inevitably, no matter what, it's mine. Mine's screwed up somehow. Order some kind of bowl. Specifically say, I don't want rice. No rice. I don't want to hear it. Don't put it in there. Don't want it. Big letters. What happens? What is in there? It's rice. Everything's out of better rice. Every single time. So, Mark, I understand. They screwed up. And you know what? When you call the Chinese food restaurants, they rush you. They rush you right through it. They want to talk to you.
I use that as an example. Chris, it's everywhere. I order takeout. I get some. I order vegetables. They don't give you vegetables. They give you something else. You're talking to imbeciles half the time, I think, because I don't understand what goes on in these places.
You got to cook. You know what the moral is? You got to cook your own food, Mark. That's it.
Right.
You got to make your own stuff. The only problem is you can't go to the supermarket because you got the problem with the people at the supermarket too.
See, you want to get me fired up again? They got one line. They got.
So I think Mark knocked out his camera. I think you knocked out your camera. You're so upset. So, well, listen, Mark, I think there's a lot of people out there that can sympathize with what you're talking about. So Catone's comments, again, were brought to you by Mountain View Watch and Security, Scottsdale's leading home watch and security firm. So now, Mark, we want to talk about, as Mark calms down a bit and lowers his blood pressure just a little bit, Mark. Make sure we want you to last the rest of this show, you know? OTA's mini camps are over. I know we want to get into some position battles, talk a little bit about some of the guys that we think, won't even be on this team or will. But what are your overall impressions of what you saw, over the last 2 weeks of this team? And we're talking about the Patriots now, for those of you out there who...
Well, a couple of things, Chris. Two big takeaways from OTAs. And we'll get into more detail. But two big takeaways. One, my man Mac Jones, I think he's going to make this a real competition come training camp. You thought I was crazy. I think that there's going to be a competition. I don't think the job's Cam's. I think Belichick legitimately, they're giving this kid a shot, and we're going to get into it more is when we get more into this, this segment. That's my first take. And my second takeaway is we better bring in another receiver, Chris. I mean, my God, this kid Bourne, they signed him. They said he had more drops in OTAs.
Yeah, a lot of drops. He did.
He couldn't hold on to the ball. You know what happens to those guys. He'll never see the field. Belichick will never use him. You spent $24 million to bring him in. He's never going to see the field, Chris. So if you take him out of the equation, what did you add? You added the tight ends. But at the receiver position, you added Aguilar and who else? They need to bring in a receiver. Those are my two quick takes, and we'll get into more detail.
Well, I mean, since we're talking about the wide receiver position, let's just start there, right? I mean, so to your point, Mark, so the guys they bring in, when you go down the list of receivers, okay, and you're looking at that, sorry, Mark, I think I thought my camera had gone blank for a second.
Well, no, it didn't go blank. It's a little blurry though.
Well, we'll have to clean that up. So when you go down the list of receivers, okay, you got Aguilar, Bourne. I mean, guys that are going to make the team. I mean, I don't know. This Marvin Hall, I'm not. He's 6'4". I'm sorry, he's 5'10".
Chris, Jacoby Myers, they said, was the star of OTAs.
He was last year too.
For the receiver group, yeah.
So look, Aguilar's going to be on this team. Bourne's going to be on this team. Unfortunately, Harry's going to be on this team. Okay,
Chris, I don't. Whoa. If they bring in a receiver between now and training camp, I don't know if Harry's a guaranteed to be on this team.
Who the hell are they going to bring in?
Well, why can't you bring in a guy like Alshon Jeffrey?
Well, you can, but does that mean what do you do with Harry? You can't just cut him. You can't cut a first-round pick. Come on, you can't. You know they're not going to do that.
Chris, it's his third year. What do you trade him for a 6th-round pick?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But they're not going to let him
Only
lose.
because, in all honesty, Chris, if they bring in another receiver between now and training camp, and maybe they won't, but if they do, who's the odd man out? Okay, so like you said, Aguilar and Bourne have to stay. You gave them all that money. You can't get rid of them. Okay, Jacoby Myers is pretty much a lock unless he gets injured. So there's 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so now how many receivers you keep? 5.
Well, do you consider Slater a
So
receiver?
because if you bring in a guy like Jeffrey or Golden Tate or one of those guys, well, they're going to be 4. You're not going to. If they produce in training camp, you figure they would be 4. So now who's that 5th guy? Gunner, is he considered the 5th receiver, or is he more special teams? What do you consider Gunner? Because Gunner's going to make the team.
Well, what about Slater?
That's what I'm saying. So
I mean, Slater's a special teams guy too.
What do you do with Harry?
And everybody's high up on Zuber too.
Yeah, so I think the receiver position, Chris,
He's a rookie, but
not because of talent. I think I don't know. I don't think the talent's there, but I think it's going to be an interesting training camp because if you bring in an extra receiver between now and then, I think there's going to have to be a cut of somebody that maybe you didn't think was going to get cut. I mean, you could see. I mean, unless they just get rid of Harry for a pick and that clears out an extra spot. It's okay, we didn't have to cut him. We didn't embarrass ourselves. We traded him. But shit, it's still an embarrassment. You trade a number 1 pick, first round pick for like a 6th round pick.
yeah, listen, no. Well, it's an embarrassment now. I mean, what he is a complete embarrassment anyway at this point. So, but
Chris,
listen,
he didn't seem to do anything good in OTAs. They really didn't mention him, so he didn't distinguish himself. Say, look at how much he studied and how much better he is. He didn't distinguish himself at OTAs.
Well, listen. Okay, so do we agree Zuber's going to make this team?
I think he's going to make a strong push to make it.
Well, you can't put him. This is a guy I don't think you can put on the practice squad because I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to survive there. I think somebody's going to take him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. So if you're looking at, let's say Slater is considered a special teams guy. Okay. You can't have 2. So it's going to be him, let's say. So Zuber makes the team, I think. Gunner makes the team. Myers makes the team. Harry makes the team. Bourne and Aguilar.
Okay.
That's what,
so
6, right?
That's correct. If they
now,
don't
what do you do with
bring
Trey
in a guy-
Nixon?
But listen, Trey Nixon will go to the practice squad. He's a rookie.
He will. No, I don't think they'll take him off the squad. Off the practice. I think he'll survive there.
I do too. But Chris, so that what you're saying, I agree with. If they don't bring in somebody before training camp, a guy like Golden Tate or a guy like an Aguilar, and I'm sorry, Alshon Jeffrey. If you bring in a receiver late, I don't know if those guys, if Harry's, I think Harry could be the odd man out.
Yeah, if they bring somebody in late, yeah, but you're gonna have to get something for him. They're not gonna. He'll never release a first round pick. He'll never release that. So yeah, Mark, you're right. That's the position of great ridiculous interest. You know,
yep,
and we covered quarterbacks. For me, I think Hoyer, they're not carrying 4 quarterbacks. I think Hoyer will be out, in my opinion. I think he gets waived or cut. So, Mark, the tight ends, because I was real interested to hear your take on, I mean, obviously we know that Henry and Smith, if Smith can actually, get on the field, because he hasn't done anything in these OTAs and mini camps. He's been watching.
Did he practice the last OTA? Go through some drills. I don't know.
It was minimal at best. So, but we know he's going to make the team. We know that we know Hunter Henry. So the question I have, forget Lacoste and forget those Izzo for 1 second. Keen, Asiasi. I mean, what I have to imagine.
Chris, Asiasi, they said actually looked pretty good in OTAs. So I think Asiasi makes the team.
They said he and Henry were tearing it up.
Yeah, I think Keen is. I think unless they try to make him into a fullback, H-back, and they keep somebody for that position, I think you moved up in the draft to take that fool in the 3rd round. You wasted a 3rd round pick on Keen. That's beyond me how they could have wasted a 3rd round pick on that kid. But I think he's going to get cut.
Well, I
don't see any space for him.
Quisenberry has got to make the team, right? Right.
Unless,
Chris, I'll tell you something right now. Belichick, he comes from Navy.
Well, there you go. But Chris,
I'm just going to
unless
put him on the practice
no,
squad.
but Chris, unless Keene, you know what happens with the Patriots miraculously.
Yeah.
Second week of practice.
Everybody's
He's on IR. They put Keene on IR. And that's how he stashes guys.
Injury,
Historically, that's how that's how he stashes guys. And he stashes them and sees if he gives him an extra year of development. And then if he's going to cut him, it'll be next year.
How many tight ends do you think they carry? 4? 3?
I think they carry 3 on the active roster. I think if they carry a 4th, Chris, it's a practice squad tight end.
Well then.
And that ain't going to be Keene.
Well, if Keene isn't a running back, which we'll get to next, if Keene's not a running back, then what do you do with him?
That's why
what you said about the injury.
It's what is it? It's June 22nd. You mark my words. Keene's going to end up on the IR, Chris. Because he was banged up in OTAs. He didn't practice much. You mark my words. He's going to be a IR guy, and they're going to stash him. And that allows them to keep a 4th tight end on the practice squad. So technically, you got 5 on the roster if you include Keene because he's on IR.
And they could. Did they still have that IR where they can come off?
I think so.
And listen, and that may be the thing they do. And why, Mark? Why? Because what always happens. What's going to happen to one of these two?
You know they're getting hurt. One of
these 2 tight ends is going to get hurt. And by the way, how the hell? If I had a Corso comment, you know exactly where I'm going with this. How on earth in 2021 can you pull a friggin' hamstring? Tell me how that happens in this day and age with the conditioning coaches and the strength coaches and the tendon coaches and the bone coaches and the head coaches and all the crap that these guys. How on earth are you pulling a friggin' hamstring, Mark? How's that happen to a professional?
Because Chris, he got a big he put effort in last year to get his big fat free agent contract. Got his big fat free agent contract during the offseason, and then he went and partied for 6 weeks and didn't keep himself in shape. And then you show up to camp out of shape, Chris.
That sucks. That really sucks. So okay, listen. So if we think Keene may be a possibility of practice squad of not IR or maybe
I'm throwing that out there. I could be totally off base, but historically that's how we hide guys, right?
Well, if they make him a running back, this is what we got here. Okay, so you got the guys on the roster. You got Bolden, Burkhead, Gaffney, Harris, Michelle, the rookie, Stevenson, J.J. Taylor, James White, Jacob Johnson.
Yep.
So
Chris, so you figure which are called a lock, right? Harris is a lock.
Yep.
James White is a lock.
Yep.
Right?
J.J. Taylor.
J.J. Taylor, you got to figure is a lock because he's the only other receiving guy you got the backup White if White gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider Sonny Michel a lock? I consider the rookie from Oklahoma, Stevenson, a lock.
Or do they practice squad him?
He won't make it.
He won't.
Who won't make it? Stevenson? No. If you put him on the practice squad, he'll be gone.
Somebody will pluck him off, no question.
Yeah. So he's another guy, Chris. He's
not going to draft him, and then
Chris. He's like a Damian Harris. Do you keep him on the Stevenson? He may be a guy that's on the even if he's not going to play much. He's on the active roster every week, but then he's a
healthy scratch.
He's a healthy scratch every week, like they did for Harris. Remember his rookie year? Every week he was a healthy scratch.
Yep.
But is Sonny Michel the odd man out? Do you try to
how many?
Do you try to feature him a little bit in training camp and then try to get a pick for him?
Well, then how many backs are you keeping?
Well, how many would they historically keep? Is it 5?
5.
Well, Bolden, you figure he's a special teams guy, or are you considering him a running back?
Well, you can't. I mean, how many special teams guys?
Well, we keep more than most. You know that.
Well, then if you consider, because he loves Bolden.
He loves him. He loves him. He brought him back. He loves him.
9 years. Go. Come on.
He loves Bolden.
See, I think Bolden's out.
Okay.
I think Bolden's out. Burkhead's out.
Well, Burkhead signed with somebody.
Okay, so he's out anyway. And then Tyler Gaffney.
Burkhead signed Chris with the Texans.
Yeah, good for the Texans. What a
By the way, your buddy is getting closer and closer to being traded.
Yeah, to Denver, right?
Deshaun Watson's going to get traded, Chris.
Yeah. You know what? I'm so disgusted. I'm so friggin' disgusted by that. You know what? And you know what's going to happen? All these allegations are going to come out false, or whatever's going to happen. He's going to take Denver. He's going to take Denver to the damn Super Bowl. Watch. I'm so disgusted by that. Anyway, Yeah, I think it's going to be Harris. I think Michelle. Yeah, I think it's going to be Harris, Michelle, unless they can move them. Harris, Michelle, Taylor, White. Okay. Stevenson. Now, what do you do for a fullback, though? You need one. Johnson's got to
make the team, especially if Keene isn't ready.
So Keene is going to be, Mark, there's a possibility Keene just gets cut.
Yes, there is. If they don't IR him, Chris, he's going to be cut.
They're going to manufacture an injury there.
They have to, because what are you going to do with him? You can't. There's no space for him, Chris, on this roster.
Yeah. And so, okay, so let's get to another break. Let's come back. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. We really need to talk about Cam Newton and Mac Jones. Forget the offensive line. We'll do that another week. But want to
the offensive line, Chris. We talked about them before. That's a strength, a huge strength.
Well, look, and we don't. There's a couple of position battles that I want. Your opinion on the defensive front. Okay, yep. and in the secondary too with the Gilmore situation. So let's get to that, and let's get to Mac Jones right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
And back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. And so, Mark, we were talking on that front side about, the offensive, some of the offensive position battles and what we think may happen. And we didn't get to the offensive line, but Mark, we know who's going to make the team. The offensive line's pretty well set and a damn good one at that. So, Mark, when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, and I know you're, with defensive tackle, and that's been something that you've been hopping on that since last season. The inability to stop the run. Who should we keep? Butler, Guy, and they decided on Guy. Who's making this team at D tackle?
Well, Chris, they brought in Montavious Adams. They brought in, Gotcha from Miami. They drafted Bondmore. So you got three guys there, Chris, who were not here last year that I think are going to make those three guys are making the team. I think they're going to make a huge impact on the run. You now got some guys that can stop the run, I believe, at the defensive tackle position. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those three guys, and that has to help. There were times where they were just flat out atrocious against the run. But that should shore up some things, especially if you're playing teams that are built like Baltimore and things like that. But what do you think about guys like Davis, Kyle Davis, Xavier Williams, Isaiah Mack? These guys, Akeem Spence. These guys. They got
Lawrence Guy listed as a DN, Chris, but he's kind of can be a tackle too. He's a tackle.
I think he plays inside.
He plays inside. So when you add Guy to that group, Chris, I think with the additions of the guys they've brought in, I think they've greatly improved their defensive tackle. Greatly improved.
Oh, I do too. I do too. But I think so. So okay. So if you consider Guy, then you got 1, 2. Gotcha. That's 3. Guy is 4. Yeah, I mean, I'd say one of these other guys.
Yeah. All right.
You know, I just don't know if it's going to be Spence, Davis, Mac. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they got the rookie, but the rookie is, Murray. That was a late pick. I'm not. So, but I agree with you. It's going to become a. Listen, this whole defense is going to be night and day better than they were last season. You got to believe that.
Chris, listen, the week besides defensive tackle, you went crazy every Sunday because of the linebackers.
No, I know.
Okay, so now all of a sudden, Chris, you've added Judon, linebacker / defensive end. You've added Hightower.
Yeah, basically, it's like adding a new player.
Yeah, new player. You've added Van Noy, basically a new player from last year, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You've added the kid Perkins, who's a D end, but he'll come off the edge for you as a linebacker too. The kid from Oklahoma, they're really high on that kid. And
I didn't have him highlighted, but Perkins,
Chris, in OTAs, they said they couldn't protect against Uche. He was flying around the edge. Nobody could. They couldn't stop him.
Well, now because he can specialize now.
Yeah.
When you bring Hightower back, when you bring Van Noy back.
Yeah.
Okay, when you bring these guys back, I mean, Uche got a crap ton thrown at him last year. You couldn't. We were on his ass and Jennings too, all season last year. But to be honest with you, Mark, they're trying to do things, it's fitting a square peg into a round hole. I mean, in that situation. So now you get Hightower back, you get Van Noy back. Now you have, something, you have these guys that can hone what they do and then expand their game.
And I want to see, Chris, if Hightower can teach this kid Jennings from Alabama, the linebacker. I want to see if he can learn because let's face it, Wheatley is nothing more than a backup. They tried to make him the signal caller and the starting linebacker. You were asking that kid to do something he's not built to do. He's a role guy. He can come in and give you some snaps to give a guy like Hightower a breather, but he's not your starter. He can't be your starter.
So because Hightower played a little on the edge too, and so Mark, look, and with Jennings, to your point. There were times when he was playing inside linebacker.
Yeah,
It's not going to be where he's going to be. That's not where he's going to play.
No.
So,
and Chris, the guy that I think could have some trouble this year getting on the field with all these new guys is Winovich.
Well, I was just going to mention him because I think he's obviously on this team.
No, he's on the team, but I don't know how much playing time he'll get.
He's going to be a guy there to rush the quarterback.
And he better do, but you're going to have Uche and Judon to do that too.
Yeah,
and supposedly this kid from Oklahoma, Perkins, Chris, can get around the edge too. I know he's a rookie, but you liked when they drafted him.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why I think Weiss is done with this team. Dietrich Weiss.
They brought him back.
I know, but
you think he could be a candidate to be cut at the end?
Well, you know what? I think he's going to get himself out of the lineup anyway because he's always hurt.
Okay.
There's always something wrong with this guy.
All right.
Well, look at Mark. Look at the names we just mentioned. Do you feel like Weiss isn't he far down on that list?
Yeah.
Got to be below Winovich. No?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Chris, listen. Think about the guys we just mentioned. Think about the guys we mentioned, the defensive tackle, right?
They're a much better football team on defense than they were last year. I mean, on paper anyway.
On paper, Chris, listen, they're front seven. And you know what we just described? Guys that can put pressure in, that can play up the middle.
Yeah.
Guys that can fly around the edge.
Yeah.
Guess who's coming here week 4?
Of course. And guys that can get in your face, that guys that can put middle pressure on you. I mean, don't you think for one second Hightower's not going to be, I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to show Tampa Bay a zero look at times.
Yeah.
They're going to show them a zero look with everybody up, everybody walking up, everybody moving around because whatever you look at, there's not a hell of a lot you can do to Brady.
I was just going to say, you're not going to confuse Brady, but if you got pressure, if you got him on his ass all night, half the night, that is what frustrates him.
I don't care who you are. If you have guys walking around in gaps, dropping out, you don't know. I don't care if you're Brady or not. You can't see where they're coming from. You don't know who's coming. You can't identify the mic. You can't figure that out. You're going to have trouble. And if that offensive line for Tampa, I know we're going off there. If that offensive line for Tampa can't figure out middle pressure, because you don't have to get around the edge against Brady.
No.
I mean, where's he going? He's not going anywhere. If you bring middle pressure against him, they're friggin' gods in center. Better play well, because you're right. Our defensive front now will hold them up. They'll hold them up. And guys like Judon, Hightower, okay, even Jennings, Uche, these guys are going to fly through those gaps. They're going to fly through those gaps. I'm telling you. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, week 4. And other weeks, too. I mean, other guys that'll have trouble.
No, positively. I just mentioned week 4 because I know you'll be here for that game. So,
Yeah. Oh, man. And as I said, we're going to have to – our show will air our post-game show will air Corso&Catone presents Pat's Nation. That will air the Monday following that game. I don't think Mark and I will be any.
But I will say this: we may be doing some live tweets or live something. Joe will figure out that whole social media thing for us by then. We may go live. We may be doing some live spots from the stadium, Joe.
From inside the place, so you'll have to make sure you get on and see that. Mark, to finish this, the secondary.
Chris, that brings us to the secondary. Yes,
the secondary, and this is the most. This is a very interesting situation. Why? Because I'm glad you asked. Because Gilmore determines so much of what the hell is going to happen now, right?
No, absolutely.
Because if
Chris. Chris, when is Belichick's historically his best defenses have had what?
Oh, great corners, good secondary.
Great corners, right? Shut down corner, right? His best
good
defenses have had. Yes. So Gilmore, you would think, would be an important piece to that, right?
He's a huge piece to it. The question becomes, is he going to, he put them over the barrel last year a little bit.
So do they buckle again?
You can't. What's he getting? What's he going to pay $7 million or something?
$7 million.
Yeah, you can't listen. You can't blame him. You can't blame the guy. How do you step on the field for $7 million?
So do you think they settle this, or do you think they trade him?
I mean, you and I will step on the field for $7 million. Gee, Christ, I'll do anything for $7 million. I'll do it for $700. You give me $70. Give me $70. I'll step on that field right now.
Just want to go back.
Just give me a helmet and shoulder pads. I don't need any money. I'll pay you.
He'll pull his hamstring in 30 seconds. The hamstring will go.
I'm bitching about hamstring pulls. Forget it. I'll pull my hamstring getting out of the car in the parking lot, kid. Mark, with the secondary.
Do you think they settle? Do you think that? Or do you think they trade him?
Yeah, no, they're not going to trade him. I don't think they're going to trade him. He's going to play. He's not going to give up the season and lose any money. I mean,
well, I was just going to say, Chris, and not only that, if he wants to try to get a contract next year with somebody else, a big deal, like at least get $14-15 million range, he's going to have to play. You sit out the season, you've basically killed your value on the open market.
You can't lose the season.
Plus, he's got to prove to people he recovered from the injury, the quad injury.
Yeah, you're right. What I think is going to happen is I think they're going to give him money. So, like, where should a corner be? Where should they be? In that 14. Should they be in that range?
They still got space. They got money.
They got money
still.
So
if they don't decide to bring in another receiver, you could throw him $5 or $6 extra million to play.
What I think you probably will see is I think you'll probably see them give him some sort of incentive laden situation where, something that's attainable, where you reach week 12, you play 12 weeks, you get the bump. You get the 13 weeks, you do this. I think it's probably more like that of things you'll see to give him that, that push. But okay. So let's just assume he's in.
Okay. So assume he's in. Then you got
JC Jackson's on the other side, which is, those are two of the better corners in the league, two of the combos, right? I mean,
now, Chris, when you think about this team now, right? So you're building for the future. All right. And we're going to get into quarterback in a minute. So now you got your two starting corners are both on the last years of their contract.
Right.
So that's
it's going to be Jackson that gets paid for them.
Yeah, I think
them,
no, you're right. I think it is too. You're right.
By them. Because Gilmore's, well, let's see. He's in the ninth season.
He's 31, 32. Yeah.
He's 30. He's going to be 31 during the season.
You're going to have to pay J.C. Jackson.
No, it was the same thing with Revis. Yeah. It was the same thing that happened with Revis. I mean, Jets. Jets are so stupid. But it was the same thing with Revis. I mean, you couldn't pay a 31-year-old corner. You just can't do it. You know, so yeah, no, I think
the Jets gave him like $18, $19 million.
I mean, we're all guaranteed. No, he got like 40 million guaranteed.
No, he got like 40 guaranteed. You're right, yeah.
But and well, J.C. Jackson's 25 years old.
You got to. He's the guy you give the next 5-year contract to.
Let's see what kind of season he has. But I think Justin Belichick loves him. He loves him. You know,
but what about Jonathan Jones?
He's making this team. Jonathan Jones is making this team. Miles Bryant, obviously, he's the rookie. Okay, Jalen
Mills obviously is making the team. Correct.
Jalen Mills is making the team.
What about this guy? Now, interesting. Is there a chance he gets cut, Joe? This John Williams?
Jaquan Williams.
Does he quit? Is it a possibility Jaquan Williams gets cut?
Jawan, yeah, sorry. Joe, we don't even know how to say the names anymore.
No, but Chris, he was another second-round pick you wasted on a corner.
I know. No, he'll make the team.
In the past. Do you think he makes the team?
Well, who are the safeties? Let's start with that because you got Phillips, McCourty, Duggar, okay? Bledsoe.
The rookie?
Yeah.
He's the rookie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. So those four guys.
Well, does Bledsoe make the roster or is he a practice squad guy?
Because I'm high on him.
Okay, so he makes the team then. On the active
I think
roster.
He makes the team. I think he makes the team, and then there's Cody Davis and Adrian Colbert. You know, Cody Davis is 8 years in. I mean, so those two guys, but those four are for sure making it. So now with the corners, how many corners are you going to carry? 6. Can you carry 6 corners? They usually carry a lot of corners.
Well, Chris, here's the thing. That kid, Jalen Mills, can play corner and safety.
Yeah.
So, Belichick loves that versatility.
Well, I think you got Bethel, Bryant, Gilmore, Jackson, Jones, Mills. That means 5? That your guy, 6. That means, and then you take 4 safeties and you use Mills as a
that takes my guy Williams possibly.
That takes out of the mix. So the competition is got to be between Justin Bethel, Williams, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not, again, you're going to keep the rookies, and Mills isn't going anywhere. Jonathan Jones has earned this spot. He's not going anywhere. Obviously Bryant, Gilmore, Jackson, fine. So you got D'Angelo Ross, Dee Virgin, Williams, and Michael Jackson Sr. Okay. So those guys, there's going to be a fight. And I think the fight's going to be between Bethel and Williams, Mark.
Yeah.
And one of those two guys.
Belichick likes this kid, Chris, D'Angelo Ross,
I know he does.
That's a kid that's I will guarantee you ends up on the practice squad.
Yeah, because I don't think he could pluck from there. I think he's a guy that can. So, Mark, listen, with the corner, but I tell you what, it's a strength.
Oh, it is. If Gilmore comes back, Chris, it's a strength. If he plays.
And with the Nick Folk's going to be the kicker of this team.
Yes, he is.
I know they drafted that Norden, but,
No, he's going to be the kicker.
So yeah, listen, I think out of the two sides, even with all the moves they made on offense, I still believe the defense is going to be the strength of this team. And now, so Mark, let's talk. Let's just talk for a few minutes about Mac Jones, Cam Newton. Okay, then we'll get to our final thoughts after. But so Mark, I mean, they go through the OTAs, they go through minicamp. What are you seeing? Because I'm wrong, aren't I?
Well, no,
I mean,
I'm not going to say you're wrong yet, but I'm wrong here. Listen, Joe, he laughed at me when I said to him, Mac Jones. They laughed at me. right? But listen, Chris, I sent you that video last week from OTAs of Newton throwing the ball. Your honest opinion, did he look any different?
He was throwing. It was really bad. It was really. I mean, it was bad. So either whatever's wrong with him
but
is still there.
The mechanics, Chris, looked the same. Like I know
the mechanics have always looked the same.
No, but he supposedly went to the throwing coach, so you thought maybe that would make some adjustments to it. But it didn't look much different, did he?
No. Well, he's always had the same thing. He throws off his back foot. Okay, he's got that unorthodox style of release. Okay, you would never teach a quarterback to throw the ball the way he throws the ball. I mean, the method and mechanics of what he does. I think, Mark, you're starting to. I'm starting to be convinced that this guy he can't throw the football. So on the flip side, so it's okay. We know what he can't do. So what he brings to the table is that leadership. They like him, and so on and so forth, and all those things. What is Jones seeing? What are you seeing in Jones that's telling you week one? I mean, it's mini camp. I get it, but
it's
so
okay, mini camp, Chris. You can't. I mean, what can you really see, right? But the thing I do like, Chris, is he's getting a lot of reps. Yes, during the involuntary,
like 7-2
during the involuntary workouts, Chris, he was like third string.
Yeah,
they must have saw something in him. They get to OTAs. He's number 2 behind Newton. Stidham automatically all of a sudden goes behind him. Hoyer's barely getting any reps. And
your dream quarterback.
Listen. Hoyer, I told you when they brought him back.
Yeah, you're right.
Is there for Jones to teach him how to study this playbook,
how to be a pro.
How to be a pro. That's the only reason he's on that team.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he starts to get the reps, Chris. And like you said, he got more reps than Newton. So, and I sent you the video of him. Damn, he looked good. He looked poised. He put the ball exactly where it was supposed to be. He wasn't perfect, Chris. He was picked off in one practice by Hightower. He was picked off by Van Noy. And, don't get me wrong. He was not perfect by no means. But he's getting the reps. And you know what I like, Chris? 2 things. First thing, the players are all noticing something because they're all making comments about, and that's what you said, Chris. Belichick had to see if he could lead a team. And you know what? I think the kid can lead the team even as a rookie. The players were all saying, oh, yeah, this kid's going to be something in the future. They don't want to hand it to him yet because you're not going to disrespect Newton, right? But the players have witnessed something with this kid. And the second thing is, Chris, McDaniels is not treating him like a rookie. Last week, he screwed up, and McDaniels got on him like he would have gotten on Tom Brady. And historically, he wouldn't do that with a rookie. He'd tell him, go sit down over there. And he'd throw somebody else. No, he got in his ass because
McDaniels is having trouble.
McDaniels is grooming him, to be the starter.
McDaniels is having a lot of trouble holding back from the excitement that he's feeling.
Oh, positively,
over this kid.
Positively, Chris. Right?
You're watching him in press conferences. It looks like he's just surprised. He wants to fly through the screen. Mark, I told you before, the 3 things that are going to get this guy on the field early, and keep in mind, notice what I'm not saying: leadership, intelligence, and study habit. Those are the things that are going to get this kid to play in week 1. What didn't I say? I didn't say throwing motion.
And Chris, those are all his strengths.
I didn't say anything about his athletic ability. I didn't say anything about his arm strength. I didn't say anything about his movement in the pocket. I didn't say any of that crap. I didn't say any of that. What I'm saying is, you want to play for Bill Belichick, then what they showed in that behind the scenes in 2009, when the 2 of them was sitting in there, and if I have to tell you all who I'm talking about when I say the 2 of them, then you should be ashamed of yourself out there. When the 2 of them were sitting in Belichick's office, going over the Baltimore game and talking about Ed Reed and all, what they bring to the table, if he's doing things like that, okay, if he's studying the way Brady studied, and I don't know that anybody studies the way Brady studied, but if he's studying a lot.
Chris, wait a minute, though. Now, wait a minute. I will say this, though. I think the kid probably has from what I've been told, actually at this stage of his He's a 5
He's
week
ahead.
rookie.
He's ahead of where Brady was.
He's a 5 week rookie, but he's ahead of where Brady was. Only because I think he had only because he had a different college experience than Brady had.
Yeah, I think
Brady didn't have an NFL playbook at Michigan. They were running the ball half the time, and
Brady got screwed. Brady got screwed in Michigan. That moron.
He didn't have the wideouts, and he didn't have to make the adjustments like this kid did at Alabama.
Brady got screwed. That moron benched him and put in Henson, Drew Henson. They could have won a national championship. The stupid moron.
Who the heck was that coach? I forget his name.
Ben Schembechler.
No, Schembechler wasn't the coach then. No.
Who was the coach?
I forget. It wasn't him. But go ahead.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is, if and Mark's looking it up now. I know he is. I'm being good. If Mac Jones, no, look it up. I want to know if Mac Jones does those things. If he shows Belichick that he's got command of the playbook, intelligent enough to ask the right questions and listen to the answers, and then show up and actually execute and implement the things that he's been learning. So ask the questions, get the answers, get in your playbook, and then show up on the field correcting the mistake he made the day before. That kind of intelligence, his command of the huddle, how he commands the rest of the team, if he gets in the face of some of these receivers when they screw up and has no problem doing it, and he studies his ass off. First guy in, last guy out. Like, he should be leaving there when Belichick's leaving there. And
Chris, he was the first guy on the field last week. They showed him. He was stretching all by himself. Nobody was on the field yet.
Well, if he does those things, if he does all of those things, he'll be the week 1 starter, Mark. He'll be the week 1 starter if he can do the things that are up here.
And Jesus, if he's the week 1 starter, am I going to come back on this show and have a little conversation?
Well, it'll be one more reason for everybody out there to understand and realize that we are the real deal New England field, because so far Mark's been dead on accurate, because Chris, even when he doesn't get his Chinese food right, he's still dead on accurate.
Don't start again with the food. Listen, Lloyd Carr was the coach of Michigan football for Brady.
Lloyd Carr, right. Moron. Complete moron. Listen, when we come back.
Wait a minute. One thing before we go to break, our last break. Did you hear Brady's comment about
50 years old?
No, not the 50-year-old comment about when he was in free agency, and he said that he told the coach or the team that dropped out of the running for him, "You're going to go with that MFO over me."
Yeah, he was right.
And I from what everyone's reporting, he said that to your buddy Mike Vrabel because he chose Tannehill.
You know what? And Vrabel swooped in again. He swooped in again and took and took Julio Jones. You know what, Mark? Listen, and it serves him right. I don't like Vrabel because I don't like how he behaves. And you know what? Well, Brady's got it against him for his last game. His last game in New England, where Vrabel was saying things to him after he threw that pick against Tennessee. You know, Vrabel had some things to say to Brady, even though they were former teammates. Hey, look, he was right. Brady was right. But, you know, I'll tell you something else. As much of a joke as that franchise is and Darth Vader is down there, do you think Brady – Joe's like screaming at me right now. We're so far over. Do you think Brady would have been able to do what he did with Tampa anywhere else? Because would anyone else have brought in just sold out the way Tampa did, or had the room to do it, or you know what I mean? Everything kind of fell right. Would Tennessee?
No, probably
did they have
not,
enough.
Tampa Bay didn't have, I don't think, the capability of selling out because they didn't have the flexibility and they didn't have the guys on the roster. Tampa Bay had those receivers already there.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee had AJ Brown,
No, they did, but then Tampa Bay had the flexibility to bring in other guys that he wanted. Yeah. Anybody he wanted. They brought in, they brought in the Cuckoo Clock Brown. They brought in the running back, Fournette, playoff lane.
All the guys that made plays in the Super Bowl.
All the guys that made plays in the Super Bowl that Brady wanted on that team, and they made the plays.
And the bigger question, Mark, is would the coaching staff of Tennessee allow Brady? Would they have allowed Brady to take over that offense and become the coach of that offense?
I don't think Vrabel would have allowed that.
So when we come back, we're going to get to our final word, our final thoughts. And everybody out there, do us all a favor. call, order some food, have it sent over to Mark's house.
You're never going to let me live this down.
Make sure when you call and order it, you give them some convoluted side thing to it. Make it complicated. Take the mustard off, put mayo on, then ketchup, then this. So let's see if they get it right. We're going to come back with our final word after this. Joe, take
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
If I turn my mic on, we're going to be back in with more Corso and Catone. Mark, listen, went a little long tonight, so final word. What do you got?
Final word, baseball. These idiots, I'm dying to see how the rest of the season plays out now that the Major League Baseball wanted to get involved with banning Spite Attack. It's almost July, for crying out loud. Now you're going to crack down, like you said, Chris. So I'm interested to see what it's like the rest of the season in regards to pitching, and if anybody gets suspended. I mean, Monday, they showed the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom. They're checking his hat, his glove. They had him open his belt up to see if he had anything inside his belt. So this is going to get interesting because somebody's going to get caught, Chris. Somebody's going to get caught. You know they're not going to all be clean. Somebody eventually is going to get caught, and then we're going to see what happens. But I'm interested to see what the rest of the season looks like now. I
like the fun moment when they go out to the mound and find it. Isn't that always a funny moment? Isn't that always like kind of
they're going to go like this. They're going to throw out.
That's always a funny moment. Listen, Joe, come up on the screen right now. Get yourself on the show for a minute, will you? So my final thought. Now we want to see you.
Tell me what to do.
Joe, listen, my final thought is, I mean, I gave all my rants earlier, but I want to give Joe props tonight. Honestly, came through in a big way. You know, had some issues over the last several weeks with some of the feed and getting it out to you people. And Joe, let me tell you, JG Productions, Joe, you came through in a big, big way. We're real proud of you. We're happy that that you're helping us out on the show. Mark and I couldn't be more thrilled, and we look forward to future advancements in what we're doing. So,
Chris,
Joe,
I can't wait to see this when it's Corso&Catone, Patriot, Pats Nation. I can't wait.
Well, he's gonna have to sit on the censor button, like it's gonna be, you know, his finger's gonna be blistered by week 2 hitting that button for Mark, right? So,
I'll tell you one thing though, I got a shout out to our new streaming service. We're at StreamYard now. Those people out there who are doing their own streaming, and if you notice down in the bottom right corner, you don't see that logo that says Zoom, which don't have anything good to say, so I won't say anything at all.
Joe, you know, tell us how you really feel. Joe.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah. So listen, some people to thank tonight. Want to thank the good people over at Special Sauce Podcast. Log in, specialsaucepodcast.com. Jag Media Productions, who we just mentioned. Everything you see here, everything we're doing tonight is a reflection on them. So log on to their site. Studio 42 Designs in North Providence, Rhode Island. Log in, studio42designs.com for all your graphic design needs. And remember, it's the 4 and it's the 2. It's not spelled out. Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal law firm. Allow us to be your voice, CorsoLawGroup.com. And again, I shouldn't have to read that off the paper. And Mountain View Home Watch and Security, Scottsdale's leading home watch and security firm. So tune in next week, next Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time for our normal Corso and Catone show. And a programming note, we will be off the following 2 weeks after that. So make sure you log in next week so you can tune in so you can see us and talk with us.
And
Chris,
then when we come back, it's almost that time.
It's almost that time. It's almost training camp. It's almost what we listen, we've made no mistake that that's what we love more than anything on the planet right now. So yeah, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, log on. Joel have us up on YouTube all week. Tune in on to that. Watch the show again. Make sure you subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. Want to thank all the people that chatted in tonight. We appreciate that. Look forward to that in the future. So for Mark Catone, Joe Guarnieri, I'm Chris Corso. So long, everyone.